England march along, and we are witnessing an absolute masterclass from Joe Root. He's shattering records. The first England Test captain to strike five Test hundreds in a calendar year. The second youngest to 9,000 Tests. To see where any of it stops. Joe Root is giving India a tough go. Steve on day three. Steve Harmison, VVS Laxman with me. This is some batting we're witnessing, Laxman.
Yeah, absolutely. A pure test match, 100 we saw in Nottingham. We are seeing now, and I think he's relishing the fact that the responsibility which lies on him, Joe Root, the captain, and Joe Root, the batsman. I think that responsibility is getting the best out of him because leading to this test match, coming into this test series, there is a lot of talk that can Joe Root be consistent? Can he convert those half centuries into big centuries? There's a lot of talk about the brittle English batsmen batting lineup, and the best way to stop and shut down the criticism is by performing and performing when it matters the most, and that's exactly what Joe Root has done in Nottingham and also today. And not only is he getting that individual milestone, not only is he getting those hundreds, but also is reposing a lot of confidence in the dressing room, which is very, very critical when you're playing against a top quality bowling lineup.
He seems to have just shifted gears in that session. Just hallmark of a great batter, Steve.
Yeah, and then putting pressure on the bowlers and making sure that the bowlers can't just sit in and bowl, lines and lengths of discipline and try to hold one end and basically give him strike and let and put pressure on the partner. It just doesn't seem to be happening for India, and that's largely down to Joe because of the rotation of strike. I thought Butler looked as though he was scratchy a little bit. Moen's come in and done well, but and Joe's not really got out of third gear, and he's like there's still a little bit more left in him. So that's ominous signs for India. His ability to transfer his weight now in this innings and at Trent Bridge compared to what he had been in maybe 2019 or 2020 is a marked difference to where he is now. And for somebody who what a problem to have. He got criticised because he couldn't turn his 70s into hundreds. His
Yeah.
conversion rate wasn't great. What a problem that is to have VVS. But can you imagine what he's like this year? He's converted six of his 50s now. He's converted five into centuries, and he is having an unbelievable 2021. And the way he's going, it doesn't look as though there's much can stop him.
Mm, there was a couple of years back, Lakshman. I remember, when I think he averaged about 45 in what was supposed to be a low year for him, and his test average went under 50. There was conversation of whether it's the big three or the big four. Is it Smith, Kohli, Williamson, and Root, or is it Smith, Kohli, Williamson, and then Joe Root? Where does he stand now? Now, after the 2020, 2021 that he's had, where does Joe Root stand among the great batters of this era for you?
Yeah, I think he'll be up there. I always felt that Joe Root, Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, Steve Smith. I'll also include Babar Azam in that list. These five players are fabulous batsmen at the highest level. And the best thing about these five players are they're absolute role models to youngsters, and they take on the responsibility. They take on the challenges. They confront. Because all these five players are captains of their respective teams, and at the same time they are the main batsmen, and we know what kind of responsibility the main batsman has, and the kind of expectations to always fulfill is never easy. So I think all these five batsmen have fulfilled the expectations of their own, fulfilled the expectations of their teams, and always, whenever they score runs, they've always put pressure back on the opposition bowling lineup, and that for me, stands out as far as this five batsmen is concerned. Because yes, you can get runs, you can get those half centuries, you can get those 100, but how impactful have those centuries been? And I think all these five batsmen, whenever they get runs, they dictate terms, and that's why they're special players.
I was looking at his career charts. A lot of great calendar years Joe Root's had, Steve. From 2014 to 2017, I think he averaged over 60 in a calendar year in each of those years. He's getting there now in the mid 50s, high 50s, and there's still a lot of cricket for England to play in this calendar year. But do you just think this perhaps is his most significant year as a batter, looking at the strength of the rest of the England team now than it was in the years that I mentioned?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the years you mentioned, the players that were in around that time would be like Sir Alistair Cook, who was going well, Ben Stokes, and a couple of others. Now it's Joe Root. This is Joe Root with no Ben Stokes around at this moment in time. The pressure and the weight of expectation on the England captain has just hit an all-time high level because of 1, 2, 3 not scoring any runs. Is there an argument to Joe going to number 3? Joe wants to bat at number 4. That's where he wants to bat, and when he bats like this, who's to argue and sort of try and change his mind on that front to try and help the England cricket team? The best thing we can all say is that the only way to help the England cricket team is by a weight and volume of runs, no matter where he bats. And that is evident right now because he's playing by himself sometimes in this batting unit. And that's why I know what Virias is saying there about the top 5 players in the world. And I do agree, Babar Azam is one of the best 5 players in the world. But the amount of pressure on Joe Root is just enormous because of the rest of the batting unit not being able to fire. So for me, that's why this year is so special. In when you hear Joe talking, what he'll say. I know he did say at Trent Bridge when he was asked, "Is this as good 100 that you've scored?" I remember saying it. That's up there with as good 100 he's ever scored in English colours for at Trent Bridge. And he said, "We'll wait and see if we win the Test match." Well, Rain stopped it there. Now this will be up there, and he will probably give the same answer, and he will be desperate for his team to win this Test match because it was a special knock at the home of cricket.
Yep, absolutely. And it's still far from done. He's still got more to add, you'd think, for it. Let's analyze India's bowling in that session. We ended our lunchtime chat discussing the possibility of India bowling short balls and bouncers. It worked almost instantly after lunch. Laxman, the wicket of Johnny Bairstow. Could they have done anything else in that session to make batting harder for England?
No, I thought they bowled really well. Yes, they didn't get rewarded as much as they would have loved to. But I thought they started off the session well. The plan we were talking about, because whether the batsman is on not or whether the batsman is on 100, when you bowl a barrage of short pitch deliveries at his body with control, you find the batsman really being restless at the crease, and that probably disturbs the rhythm. And that's exactly what has happened. Even though the target was little offline when Siraj was bowling, because there were a lot of deliveries which was outside the leg stump, which went to the keeper. But I just feel the game plan was perfect, and in the end, he was rewarded by that wicket of Johnny Bairstow. And after that, once the new ball was taken, I think it was important to again go back to the channel and bowl those deliveries, trying to hit the top of off stump. So I think we can't be critical, or we can't expect more from the Indian bowlers in this session. We also have to realize that there is a set batsman in the form of Joe Root. For him, batting is very easy at the moment. He's seeing not a cricket ball, but he's seeing it as a football, as big as a football. And then the wicket of Joss Butler. I think the patience shown by Ishant Sharma, and I feel that slowly he's getting back to the rhythm, and it was rewarded because that is a perfect Ishant Sharma delivery where the ball is pitching on and outside the off stump and nipping back in. Joss will be really disappointed seeing that replay, because when you see, especially from the side angle, how far the bat was in front of his body, and that's why the bat and pad gap was created. So I think Indian bowlers stuck to their task, and that is what is required even the session which is going to happen after tea, because the way Moeen Ali is playing, the way Root is dictating terms, it's very important not to leak runs, because yes, the run rate was close to 4. You want to get that run rate below 3, show the discipline and show the patience.
Steve, what ails Joss Butler, the test batter, for a guy who's played over 50 tests now, to average in the mid-30s? His first-class average is around there as well. It's about 33. His last 100, you have to go back to August last year. He's, of course, been in and out of the test side since. But surely he looks a better player than what we're witnessing in test cricket.
Yeah, from a ability point of view, I think he is a better player than what he's showing right now. I just think Joss gets caught between a rock and a hard place on the way he wants to go about his role. He's not quite Rishi Pant, who just comes out and flails it everywhere and thinks, right, I've got a game plan. And I think, again, look, a bit like Pant in England, I think Joss is too high at number 6. I think I would rather see Moeen Ali at number 6. I think there's more of a solid defence. I think there's more of a sounder technique when it comes to test match cricket. And the gap between bat and pad to get the ball through was, you could have get one of London buses through it. So from a test match point of view, that's not great. he doesn't seem to go hard at the ball in Test match cricket. That what makes him a very, very special one-day player, and I think that's the mindset shift that Josh possibly needs, because he just seems to he seems to get himself bogged down, and he didn't look in any sort of rhythm. There was no comfortable forward movement to smother the ball, or he wasn't all the way back and punching it like he does in one-day cricket with a white ball. The clarity of thought and the mind and the movement doesn't seem to be there in Test matches. So it has always been a concern. I've been a very big critic of Joss Butler in a way which is him not really sort of grabbing the game and going just blowing away, because you do that in one day cricket. But he doesn't. He seems to be a little bit muddled thinking in Test match cricket. And like you say, he's played a lot of cricket now in Test matches. For the average he has and the amount of runs he scored, for the ability and talent he has, I don't think they go hand in hand. I don't think they match up. So that is something I think England will might have to look at, especially if Bairstow does score runs later on down the line. But it is a concern in a unit which isn't firing if you take the England captain out.
Lakshman, if you see him in the formats, and we've seen him in white ball cricket, whether at the top of the order in 2020 or in the middle order in 50 over cricket, you think, my God, this guy is something else. Is he just, a different format player? Is that his calling? Or is there something that he can do to make Test cricket his own? Because he's played a lot of cricket right now.
Yeah, he can definitely establish himself and perform at the highest level, even in Test match cricket. For me, he's probably one of the most dangerous white ball batsmen going around. There's no doubt about it, because on his own, he can win match from a terrible situation. And he's just got so many options up his sleeve in white ball cricket. But at the moment, I have a feeling that there are two things which is happening with Josh Butler. Number one, he's still not got the beliefs how to score runs in Test match cricket. And while he wants to establish himself, prove himself at the highest level, and he knows that there's so much of confidence and faith reposed on him by the team management and the selection committee. Sometimes in that eagerness, you don't know what kind of game to play. And I totally agree with Steve. At the moment, he's not sure. He doesn't have that clarity how to approach a Test innings. The second thing is he can learn from his captain who's batting alongside him. Captain shows that for him to be successful, for any batsman to be successful in English conditions, it's very important to allow the ball to come close to you and play as late as possible. And that is the mistake which Joss has done, even in Nottingham and even in this innings when he got out. Because in both the Test matches, what he has done is he's reaching out towards the ball, and there's a big gap between his pad and bat, and that's something which you cannot afford to do if you have to be successful in England.
All right, 50, the deficit. Steve, what are we expecting in this session now?
And it's going to be a bit. They're all big sessions. Every time you come on, the old cliche, it's a big session. But I think the latter part of this session could be the one that determines where this game goes. And what I mean by that is, if England can get to the same score as India, 3-6-4 for 5, then all of a sudden, will Virat Kohli panic? Will the Indian cricket team start trying to chase the game? And by I mean chasing the game over pitch, try and bowl a bit short, not stick to the disciplines. Because if they do that, Lords is a quick scoring ground. And if you've got the likes of Moeen Ali, you've got Sam Curran to come, who are flashing dashes and little cameos of 20 and 30. If they can't get rid of Joe Root, if England do go past and they get to that last sort of hour and a half, which you have at the end of a long day, the last session's always a hard session, especially with tired bowlers, England could really cash in, and that will be what is probably in the England captain's mind. Get back into the session. Let's get slowly but surely get to where India is, and then every run after that, let's see what India bowlers are made of, and see if the Indian captain starts to panic. And I think that will be what England will be looking to do and trying to put in place for the latter part of the session. First part of the session will just be get in and just let the game flow.
You could get the feeling, Lakshman, that from an Indian point of view, they'd probably be running out of ideas for Joe Root. But is there still something left that they can try in this next session?
I think even if you run out of ideas, I think as a bowler and as a captain, you can restrict the flow of runs, and that is something which is in the control of the bowlers. Yes, you can't get him out, and sometimes it happens. Sometimes a batsman is going through a purple patch. He doesn't make any mistake, and that's where, as a bowler, you have to be very, very patient and you have to be very disciplined, and that's something which can be done. And I think that is what Bharat Arun, Ravi Shastri will be talking with the bowlers. Because the kind of rhythm, the kind of control Joe Root has shown in this innings, I think it's very difficult to plan out a dismissal or plan out a way of getting him out. But I think just suffocate him and try to get the other batsmen from the English team out. And that's something which I'm sure can work out in favor of India. Because if you get rid of Joe Root, or if you get rid of even Moeen Ali, I think Indian bowlers will back themselves to bowl this remaining England tail. While Robinson can score runs, Sam Curran can score runs, but I just feel that I think the firepower India has, and with Rishant Sharma getting back his rhythm, they can bowl this team out probably within 15-60 runs. And even if they have a lead of 10-20 runs, I'm sure India will be mindful that England has to bat last in this Test match, which always be that added pressure on the batting group. So I just feel show the patience, don't give away easy runs. Will be the mantra, will be the formula post tea.
All right, let's pick up this conversation at stumps. All England so far. Let's see where they stand at the end of day 3. Thank you, VVS Laxman, Steve Harmison. More from you on ESPN Cricket for Match Days. The Joe Root Show is set to resume after ticket loads.